Is building legacy the same as building status?
No, I don't think it is. I think if you have a lot of status, then you can leave a more impactful legacy. But I don't think you can set out with the purpose of achieving status through building something that you think will build legacy.
Sure. So the reason I ask that is I've been thinking we've become a culture of builders. So we build brands, resumes, connections, we build followings. But lately I've been looking at the things we've built and wondered if we stopped maintaining the visibility of it all, would any of it actually leave a mark? So we're busy chasing status and forgotten that maybe status dies with us. So do you think status does completely end? Because that's where I'm unsure. This is where I'm trying to weigh up is what is the difference between status and legacy?
I think it can depend on how you achieved your status. Like Bill Gates has a lot of status in the tech world.
Mm-hmm.
But when he dies, we'll have no status, because I feel like status is the present term of legacy, but everyone will always remember Microsoft.
But building the business, I suppose, is his legacy. But he's built status because he's built such a successful business. So it's like this weird duality that they do cross over, but also they're extremely separate, and one is seemed or perceived to be a bit more moral than the other.
Is it?
I would think so. If someone's building a legacy, I suppose it depends what legacy you're building.
Like
Jack the Ripper had a legacy.
Mafia crime bosses.
Yeah, this is
a legacy.
So maybe I rescind that comment. But it feels like one is more powerful than the other. Status, like you say, is present.
Yeah, I would say probably legacy can be multi-generational after you die, whereas status is built across generations while you're alive. I think Bill Gates has a lot of status because of what he's been able to achieve, and the legacy will be the company he leaves behind.
Do you think status then is being seen? It's like almost as simple as that?
I think it's achieving something difficult. Or provide, like, if there's a teacher in a class or somebody, they have status because they're in the position of more knowledge, more power.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're an expert in a field, you instantly have status in that field. Versus and credibility, I suppose, comes into it as well.
But is that not just more visibility? The status is coming from more visibility, and the visibility is coming from the work you've done to create that credibility. This is what I'm wondering, is status just being seen?
People who have more visibility, I think, have more status. For example, Mike Israetel has a lot of status in the fitness world. But your local personal trainer might have all the same qualifications and done all the things that Mike Israetel's done, just not set up RP in the YouTube channel. He still has status over the 40-year-old mum that wants to, sort out her bum and tum. Like, that personal trainer still has status over that person, but they don't have the same degree of status as Mike Israetel.
So is status limited to an industry? Or rather, are we poking at two different bears? Maybe you're thinking of status regarding some sort of industry, business, profession, whatever sort of niche we're talking about. And then there's status just as a whole. Like Kylie Jenner has status. I don't quite know too much about her work. I know she's got a makeup brand and whatnot, but
Billionaire.
Yeah, that's her status.
Youngest billionaire ever.
Okay, that's pretty cool. But you know the point I'm making. Like,
yeah.
She has status. She's very visible. Everyone knows who they are. So I wonder if there's two different almost
But does the visibility
avenues.
come from the status? So I don't think you can get more visibility without having credibility in something. For another person with status that isn't building the business first is the royal family in England.
They have status.
They have status. Like, Prince Harry was born into being Prince Harry.
Is that not a legacy?
I think he's inherited status from the legacy of the royal family.
Okay, so the royal family is a legacy,
Yeah,
but the individual people have status.
I would.
Yeah,
I don't
you see
know
why I'm interested in this
Yeah.
topic, because there's so much crossover. It feels like such a duality between being seen, visibility, credibility, significance, lasting impact.
Do you think the royal family has status?
I almost want to answer you back with a question then, because there was almost a question that came to me: is does someone only have status if you deem them to be worth that status? No, to me, I'm not a royalist. I'm not a royal. I'm a king. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not a royalist. I'm not really that fussed that we have a royal family. I know it's great for tourism.
So
and
if
whatnot.
Prince Harry was to come in the room, you wouldn't
No,
like.
I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't give him any additional credibility or trust or anything over.
No.
No.
No, I might give him some daps, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Dap him up. But no, I wouldn't give him any sort of extra attention or trust because of who he is. So then it makes me wonder, do people have status if we deem them to have status? You know, likely you're going to put more status on someone like Alex Hormozy than I would. But is that just my values, thoughts and feelings? Is that aside from status?
I think it probably is your incorrect thoughts and feelings.
Nice.
No, I mean, the Alex Hormozy thing fits into somebody who I believe has done the thing that he talks about and therefore has credibility because he's proved he can do it. He's built status within that world because he's been able to show this credibility and doing it time after time. And then because he has that expertise, he's been able to gain visibility because more and more people trust him because he's giving advice having actually done it.
So can you have status without having credibility or some sort of expertise in a field? Because I was trying okay, so can I argue against, does status depend on the value you place on it? Like I was going to say, Kai Lenny, if he walked in, I'd probably be a lot more stoked on that. And you probably don't know who Kai Lenny is. One of the best surfers ever. Big wave surfing, just unbelievable. You know, if he was to ever walk in, I'd be like, wow, that's cool. But then he's got status in the surfing world because of the work he's done, the skills he has, the impact he's made.
Credibility.
Yeah, this is it.
So I think you must have credibility to have status. Legacy and status could be synonyms, but different tenses. Like saying these or those, or here versus, there or something. I don't know.
You and y'all.
Yeah, it's legacy for me is after you die, right? Is that how
Legacy,
you see legacy?
I would see legacy. Yeah, maybe we need to approach legacy instead. Legacy, I would see as a lasting impact. So you've built something, you've made an impact on someone that lasts beyond you dying. So status, I would think, is just once you pass, that status then no longer means anything.
Yeah, because you would say that person had status.
Yeah.
Because that must be the present term. And then you can also say you're building a legacy while you're alive.
Mm.
So you can work towards the thing that you're going to leave behind. And then that person's legacy, once they've died, is incredible. So that,
yes, you can build a legacy while you're alive. Absolutely. That's arguably how you gain a legacy, is you would have to build it while you're alive. So maybe status is present, and we're both right in the sense that it is credibility, visibility, all the other arguments we've made, but legacy is what you leave after. So it's beyond the present moment.
Does status mean you're better than somebody who at the thing that you have status in?
I don't think it has to, no. I would say then it does likely come down to more visibility.
But then is it so if you give anyone lots of eyes, their status, I would say, isn't necessarily in the topic. It would be in the fact that they're able to get lots of eyes.
So the fact that they are able to get eyes on them is the status itself.
Yeah, 'cause, like, how many people on the internet don't really necessarily have a skill, but they've had one viral video. Hey, look at me. No, like, kids that post something really silly, like them throwing a water bottle up in the air, it lands and explodes and whatever. I wouldn't necessarily they have status in anything, but the very fact that they were able to get millions of views, in my eyes, gives them status within the field of content creation.
So that's visibility.
So yeah, but it's status at getting visibility, not at throwing water bottles in the air.
I would say the visibility is the status. That's would be where I land on it.
Yeah,
because you're right. There's no credibility. There's no skill that comes in from just throwing the water bottle in the air. I would say there's almost no status that comes with the fact that they've got the viral video, because there's nothing that really suggests that that's taken any work. It's just the fact that that viral video has become viral. It's the visibility that comes with it. Like, to use your analogy of Mike Israel, I'm sure there's some very, very successful local PTs for people that are online coaches, that are in-person coaches, whatever it might be, that don't have the online platform but have the same amount of knowledge and experience and whatever it might be, but they don't have the status because they're not as visible.
Can anyone build status?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't see why not.
Nice. How would you go about building status?
If
you're saying you can't have status without visibility, is your primary focus then visibility?
I think it would depend on what status you'd want to build. Because I think there's status for the sake of status sake. And then there's status as building a legacy.
Yeah.
You know, like, for instance, in our world here, Chris Williamson has status.
Yeah.
But he is building a legacy at the same time, because he is going to transcend. Once he's passed on, his work will still impact millions of people. It's not like once he goes, thanks, Chris, you did great while you're here, but fuck off. Like, he's going to impact so many people for a long time after he passes. Where there's likely social media influencers that just care about status, just care about followers and likes and views and clicks.
Yeah, and that's more... It's empty, isn't it? You can see that it's empty. Can you build status without building a legacy?
Yeah.
How would you go about doing that?
How would you build status without building a legacy?
You have 5 years. Your only goal is to build status with no legacy.
Realistically, status without building legacy, in my mind, jumps to like social media, because how many people do we see every day on social media that just kind of come up as big influencers or whatever they might be, but we don't attach anything to them. They haven't left any lasting impact on you. There's probably hundreds of thousands of them around the world that don't leave any lasting impact on the people that follow them or view their content. So I would maybe look at social media, because that's the easiest platform for visibility in this modern world. That would be my thoughts.
Do you not think the fact that videos are up eternally gives it legacy anyway, because it can live on past the death?
I get the point you're making. Yes, arguably that is a legacy, but I'm interpreting legacy as a meaningful, thoughtful legacy. So you're choosing to build something that does leave a lasting positive impact. You know, if my idea of content creation was something like this, or if it was meaningful, inspiring videos, that's me trying to build a legacy through my videos. Whereas if the videos were meaningless and it was just a case of trying to get seen and clicks and views.
So Mr. Beast, remove all of his companies, his YouTube channel.
I think he's building... remove all of the positives. So
remove all the businesses around it. He's just running the Mr. Beast YouTube channel.
I would say that's just status.
Would you? You wouldn't say that's legacy?
I would say he's left a legacy, but
I wouldn't say his legacy has come from Feastables or his toys.
Okay, yeah, maybe you're right.
I would say his legacy is his success within the domain of content creation.
I'm suggesting legacy implies positivity then. That's
well, is it entertaining hundreds of millions, billions of people?
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but I'm interpreting legacy as a positive, meaningful legacy to have left. So building festivals and everything like that has allowed him to give back to water company and build pumps over in Africa and stuff like that. So he's doing really great work. For me, that's a real positive. He chose to leave that sort of positive legacy.
So the legacy comes really from the ancillary businesses, the advertising channel, if you like, or the primary thing that funds all of that is purely advertising. I'm trying to...
No, I see the point you're making. I do. It's making me question my own thoughts on legacy, because for me, again, as I said at the beginning, legacy to me immediately implies positive, but then there's definitely negative legacies you can leave. Legacies you can leave without even intending to leave a legacy.
Like the guy who shot Charlie Kirk has a legacy, and that legacy is the fact, like, whether he lives or dies, there's always be the story of the person that shot Charlie Kirk. So that wasn't positive, but that's the legacy that he's left. And I would say that he's got legacy without status as well.
Yeah.
So we found that one.
Yeah, really. See what I mean? Such a nuance.
It's so interwoven.
Yeah, and I do expect us to find the perfect answer for this, so we'll have to keep digging.
We got time.
Yeah, I mean, we've only got like another 45 minutes, so buckle in. Click. Yeah, it's interesting. Legacy versus status. Do you feel like you're building status or a legacy? Or neither?
Yeah, neither. To be
me
honest.
too.
I feel, no, beneath the noise, I feel like we are.
Building a legacy or status?
Yes.
Yes to both.
Yeah. I feel Will Taylor, the YouTube channel, for those of you who don't know, I run a YouTube channel with 400,000 subscribers and shrinking.
How many people can say that?
I've lost more subscribers in the last week than we've ever gained. It hurts my soul, but it's fine. I'm putting on a smile. But it's where the credibility comes from, once again. I think that is the key of status and building a legacy. Because you could argue there is a sense of legacy with the Will Taylor channel, in that was the instigating point for me to then go off and do lots of other things that were successful. Obviously, in real time, I don't know necessarily that those things are guaranteed.
Yep.
So does it have legacy within itself? Well, it does live on past my death. Therefore, I've built something that must have some sort of legacy because I've left it behind.
Sorry, to put a pin in that, I want to come back to, do you think content creators think, as they're producing content, that it will stay on after they go? I know they know it, but do you think they think about it?
I think it depends on what stage of content creation you're at. I think if you look at the million subscriber channels, maybe even 100,000 subscriber channels, at 100k you're starting to think about, okay, what is the content I'm putting out? And that's when you really start taking it more seriously, if that's possible.
Yeah.
When you're small and you're just trying to grow, everything is short term. It's like, I would say having 100k plus subs is like having lots of months rent in the bank. If you can think past the next 3 months, you can start making long-term plans. Whereas when you're a small content creator and you're not getting millions of views, you can't think past the next few months, because you're just trying to make the next one more viral. Next one more viral.
Yeah, the reason I ask that is I wonder, I suppose you've got to somewhat consider it. You've got to be aware of it, but also it can't be, it might stop action. The reason I ask that is it might stop action, because how many people have released a video claiming one thing and the opposite happens, and then suddenly they look like an idiot. Or have said something that at the time was considered accepted, and then 5-10 years down the line is now considered not accepted.
But then your legacy can just be, oh, this person was a racist.
Yeah, but you see what I mean? That could stop that could not stop inaction, sorry, that could mean people feel uninspired to take action.
Because they're scared of what their legacy might be.
Exactly, yes. So it's something I wonder when it comes to content creation, people have to be aware of or think, but then again, it can't be something you dwell on.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, you were saying about Will Taylor and building no status or legacy.
Yeah, well, I don't think necessarily I've got... I think the only status I would have on Will Taylor is the fact I can make music-related videos that get views. And I can't do that at the moment, so there's no status. I mean, maybe status comes from the fact I have done it. Because I would still... Like, if somebody comes to me having never made YouTube content before, I can definitely help them out. So I've got more status than that person because I've done it. What's interesting with Beneath the Noise is that we're building credibility in sort of a deep conversation space, deep thinking, and talking about things that probably two guys regularly don't talk about. And then the legacy is the value that those conversations offer for the rest of time. Because they're recorded, they're a snapshot of time. They have legacy because they provide value over the long term.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. Because my immediate thoughts were, I don't know if I'm building either. But then my rebuttal to that is we may not be building, we using us or collective, may not be building legacies such as Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett. But we are likely building legacy with friends and family. You know, because the status of friends and family, you know, I couldn't tell you some of our friends' job titles.
Nope.
I couldn't tell you how much money they have in the bank.
Nope.
But I can tell you the impact they've had on me.
Yeah.
I can tell you the reason they're my friend. So that's a legacy. You know, if you were to pass away.
Yeah.
That's me hoping.
Yeah.
No, it's
not. I was waiting for that.
Bang!
Get me more wood.
I've skipped past opportunities for jokes. But no, if you were to pass away, then I would be very sad. Like, I would know the impact that you've had on my life, and you would have left legacy there. You know, I will remember Will Taylor for years to come, because that's a legacy you've built. So yes, there's legacy on this grand scale. There's also legacy on a real connection-based scale as well.
Yeah, the quality of the relationship with the individual.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah. That's really, I think it's easy to jump to the big, most glamorous legacies out there, whether it's positive or negative, as you say, with like Jack the Ripper versus Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or whatever. But actually, day to day, are we building legacy in our lives? Well, yeah, we are. We're leaving something behind. And that doesn't have to be money. It can be connection, emotions, positive experiences with others, positive things you do within your community. That all leaves a legacy that is arguably stronger to fewer people.
Yeah, I think as well, you can also unintentionally leave legacy. What I mean by that is, and I hate this example, but I will use it because I think it's valid, is George Floyd. You know, I don't know what he was doing before, unfortunately, his untimely death, but he's now left a legacy. You know, people know his name, people know who he is, and that was just, unfortunately, a snapshot of his life, and he's left such a positive impact because it's meant people have started to stand up and fight against injustice and racism. So you can leave legacies on a grand scale without even not meaning to, but it can almost happen to you.
If you instigate lasting change. And that definition actually might work with everything.
Yeah.
So George Floyd left lasting change in the world of injustice. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have all left lasting change because Warren Buffett has proved what you can build from nothing. All of them have done that. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates have left lasting change with technology evolution. The guy who killed Charlie Kirk built lasting change by taking Charlie Kirk off the planet and impacting a lot of right-wing politics and probably left-wing as well.
Yeah, I think it's had equal impact on both sides. You got people like Martin Luther King that have left lasting change, but then you can also say you've got people like Michael Jackson that have left lasting change in the world of music. You know, Queen, Freddie Mercury.
So maybe that's it. That's the definition should we give to legacy, which is having left lasting change.
Yeah, I suppose. So do you think people should be chasing for a legacy or status? Or neither?
I've always liked the idea of leaving a legacy. I would say if there's anything I'm more focused on, it's legacy rather than status. But I know my quickest way to build a lasting legacy is to build status. As a general rule, do I think people should want to leave a legacy? Yes, because I think you should make your mark on the world. You should happen to life, not life happen to you. That sort of idea. Yeah, like what's something.
Also, sorry to interrupt, I wonder the duality. So something we speak about a few times is Chris Williamson. Chris Williamson says that in 3 generations' time, no one's going to remember your name. And if that doesn't light the fire up your ass to go do something, I don't know what will.
Yeah, live life for you.
Do you think the irony, this is maybe where I land on this, the irony of you accepting that means you might inherently build a legacy? Whereas if you are living a life where you expect people might and you're too busy worrying about gaining status because you think that's the important thing, or that's the outside validation, because maybe status is more directly correlated to external validation. I'm not sure. Hypothesis. We'll come back to it if needed. But if you stop worrying about what other people care, or the fact that maybe your name won't be remembered in 3 generations' time, you might end up building a legacy by how you interact with people, the choices you make, the people you interact with.
I think everyone actually has status. Now I think about it.
Everyone has status. Just different degrees.
Yeah, and to different people. So, if you're a father, you have status over your sons and daughters. If you're a mother, you have status over your sons and daughters.
Status over or status with?
Status over.
What do you mean by status over?
Because you are a greater source of influence and education. Okay. You know more, you have more, you're a provider, you have control, could be another way of saying that. So does status go hand in hand with control?
No, I don't think so.
Well, PT might have status over the mum in the previous example because they can control how that mum looks going forwards.
I don't think it's anything to do with control. I think it's trust.
Okay.
You know, the mum in this example trusts the PT.
But the kid might not trust the parent if it's an abusive parent, but I would still say the parent has status over the child.
I don't know how I feel. I don't know the wording of status over, because that implies that you're higher than or better than. The status implies higher and better than that person.
That is what it is.
See, I don't think so.
No?
I don't think status comes at the expense of other people. I don't think it's it's a tiered system in the sense that people can have more status than others, but I don't think it's a status over. You know, I have status over you.
Can you give an example of somebody who knows less about a thing that doesn't have more status than the person?
So I'm not using status as in knowing more. I'm using status as in held in regard for those people. You know, if someone has status, you hold them in regard.
So you might be, I'm just coming up with an example on the spot. You're definitely a better dancer than I am. But if you like the way I dance, you would give me more status over yourself.
Yes. But I don't think one means that I have status over you. So if I was a better dancer, it doesn't mean I have status over you. It just means we have differing degrees of status.
But then you've got more status, surely.
Yeah, but not status over.
Well, you're over me in the ranks of status.
But that doesn't give me more power or more autonomy.
No, yeah, it does. More people will trust what you say about dance than will trust me. Because you have more expertise in that area. The same as sales. They're like, out to the general public, Will or Connor, one of them has been a salesman for many, many years. The other one has been self-employed but not made anywhere near as much as the other person made in salary and commissions. which one do you want to teach you sales? They're always going to pick the one that has the highest status in that scenario.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I just have a visceral reaction to the fact that you might be right. Maybe
Most people do.
Yeah. Maybe I don't like status. Maybe I don't like the idea of it implying that one is better or higher than or over someone else.
Is status an old idea? And that's why there's that natural pushback. It feels outdated almost.
I don't think status is outdated.
I don't either. I was just curious.
No, I don't think status is outdated. I just think maybe it's not something that people have looked at. And maybe the social dynamics that then goes on behind status. Because if you're someone with high status, yeah, you might find that you have more pull in a room, and then the social dynamics that come with that are actually quite profound. And I don't know if that's something I've ever looked at. You know, I'd like to think that I try and consider everyone equal. But maybe you're right. Maybe there are scenarios where you're like, actually, I'm not going to listen to this person because of whatever reason. They don't have enough information. They haven't lived as many experiences. So yeah, it's interesting. Maybe I don't like the idea of the implied social dynamics of status.
Somebody just walking into a room and already having something above you, whether they turned up late or But that's what they've maybe built.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, so maybe that's a me thing. It's just interesting. I've not, like I said, with starting this episode, never looked this deeply into this kind of thing, and that's why my mind's been stuck on it, because I'm curious at the implications, how life plays out in this regard.
I think it seems unfair. How can this person come into this room and already be more loved than me when I've been in this room longer?
But I suppose that is...
Then it plays into the, well, yeah, but they worked for 30 years before walking into that room. They've had an impact on all these people's lives without having to directly be in contact with them.
Yeah, I hear the point you're making. I do. It's interesting, isn't it? So, to bring it back to legacy. Legacy, we're going to say, is impact.
Yeah, creating lasting change.
Yeah. So, if status is the applause, then legacy would be like the residue afterwards. It'd be the lasting effect. Status is the applaud in the current moment. But legacy is the... legacy is the lasting.
Status is like the atom bomb. Legacy is like the fallout.
Yeah. But do you think... The thing, again, I'm landing on is like being known, is it the same as being meaningful?
No.
So then legacy is being meaningful?
Because I don't think just by being known, you create change in people's lives.
Okay, so legacy is coming to changing people's lives.
I think so. In one way or another. That could be by bringing a new technology. It can be from killing somebody. It can be from doing something nobody's ever done before. Like, you view the world differently maybe because of it.
And like you said, legacy doesn't always imply visibility. Because you can make changes and impacts into people's lives while being invisible. Well, not necessarily invisible, but not widely considered visible. Because you could have a lasting legacy within your family, but that wouldn't make you have large degrees of status of being seen.
Like, for example, with the Mark Manson book,
Uh-huh.
if I hadn't seen the compilation clip that you showed me of Mark Manson, I wouldn't have a face to put with that name, but I would remember the title of the book. So he would, in my eyes, have created legacy without being visible.
Nice. I just spilled my water, but nice. Good
job.
point.
At least you're wearing a white t-shirt.
It was on my jeans.
Oh, okay, that's okay then. I like your jeans today, actually.
Thank you.
Bit baggy at the bottom for me to wear.
Well, this is interesting. I actually got them. So these are my really long ones. I've got in 3 different colours. And I got them cut short. So these are the first pair of ever jeans that actually fit me properly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hence the non-roll-up today.
Yeah.
Nice.
They are still rolled up, but
They are slightly.
yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is an interesting topic. So legacy is often confused with visibility, but visibility is not impact. Okay.
Is that right? I'm questioning myself now. That's not
No,
good.
so I'm just curious. So do you think the reason maybe people chase status is because status is measurable? It's more measurable than legacy. Because if you're
Is it?
this is my argument, is if you're making meaningful impact on people, that's harder to quantify. Because how likely is someone to say to you on a small or a large scale that person's had a real lasting, profound impact? They're unlikely to say that to you directly.
But it might be because of the things. Like, you're remembered because of the things you create rather than your name necessarily. Like, Steve Jobs has a legacy. Everyone's still talking about getting the new iPhone.
Yeah, so this is it. So is status more measurable or feels more measurable because it could be directly correlated to visibility? So do you have more followers than someone else? Do you know more than someone else in this chosen field?
Yeah, it's more immediate, isn't it?
Yeah, and it feels more measurable. Like you say, the Mike Israel versus a local PT, we're likely going to assume Mike Israel has more status because we've got more measurable degrees of following that up.
But maybe that's to do with exposure. We've probably watched more hours of Mike Israel than... Well, I've definitely watched more hours of Mike Israel than I've ever spent with a single PT. But if I was to spend more hours with that single PT and had all the answers and was scientifically backed, then maybe I would say, oh, yeah, like, this other person's famous, but this person knows more.
But would you still trust the numbers on the page? If they knew exactly the same thing, like if they were identical in every way except for one had a following and one didn't.
So difficult, isn't it?
Because then you would say, arguably, they're providing the same wealth of information, but one arguably has more status because of the visibility. And because it's more measurable that we can show that he has a higher degree of status, likely those subtle cues are going to push us towards that person because it's easier to quantify that person has more status.
Yeah, they've got a metric attached.
Yeah, this is it. Whereas someone that doesn't, whether they choose to not or whatever it might be, they don't have a number attached. So I've got a little study here as well, jumping off this. I will pull it back to the plan because there's little nuggets of information. So analysis show that the presence of meaning in someone's life is robustly linked to a higher subjective well-being, while searching for meaning can correlate with distress depending on the context. So meaning can feel uncertain, which is why sometimes we chase metrics. Because if you've got a presence of meaning, you're going to feel like you're more comfortable in who you are. You have a more robust sense of self. Whereas searching for meaning can cause different varying degrees of stress. So suppose it's the importance of finding meaning. But then when that meaning feels uncertain, that's likely when we're going to then reach for metrics. We might reach for status because that might have more external validation.
Yeah, I was going to say it's additional validation, isn't it?
That you're doing the right thing, you're moving towards the right place. So surveys as well consistently show income increases happiness only up to a modest threshold. Beyond that, meaning and relationships matter more. So do you think these people that have achieved significant amount of status know this? Because this is something Chris Williamson says about these unteachable lessons. It's something he's going to expand upon, I think, coming into this year. These unteachable lessons. And one of them is that all the money in the world isn't going to make you happy. All that status in the world isn't going to make you happy. And I cannot remember the guest he had on that suggested that you're never going to know that until you have it. And if anything, it's actually easier to get the Ferrari and realize it doesn't make you happy than it is
To
to learn
unwant
the
the
lesson.
Ferrari,
Yeah,
yeah.
to unwant the Ferrari. Yeah. So do you think that's why, again, we chase status? Because we feel like that's going to improve our happiness?
Yeah, on the other side of status is everything you want, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's like, oh, I'll be admired.
Because status could be related to a job title. It can be related to money in the bank. It could be related to,
Another.
anything that is valued by society is worth having. So if we are taught that status or money or a newer, shinier job title, a newer, shinier car is going to make us happy, it's an unteachable rule that you're only going to know that until you've had it.
Yeah. Going back to the earning income up to a threshold of a modest level, and then after that it's like...
Meaning and relationships matter more.
Yeah. I would say what the individual considers modest and meet that threshold to stop pushing probably changes. I think for high performers who are always comparing themselves to other people, like for example, if I was to live in a world where the normal salary was £1 million a month, like if that's my frame in my head, it's like, well, what I'm doing isn't anything special.
So do you think it's your status is directly correlated to your environment? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, or at least to the people you compare yourselves to. If you compare yourself to people with more status, you still have less. If you compare yourself to people with less status, then you have more.
Yeah, interesting. So I suppose there is... Assuming there's a global ranking of status...
Which there is.
There's a whole huge global ranking, but then maybe there's micro rankings of status as well. And depending on which park you decide to play in, determines your status in that ballpark.
Yeah, it's like being big fish in a small pond or small fish in a big pond.
Yeah, which you should always be small fish in big pond.
Always.
Or big fish in big pond.
Well, that's like you've won.
Or boat on a small pond, because then nothing's going to get you.
Except for the cold.
Cold?
The cold.
No.
Cold will get to you.
Pond's in the warmth.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a tropical pond.
Then the mould.
Nah, no mould in this pond.
No mould.
No.
It's
a perfect ecosystem.
It's a pond of alcohol.
No. Yeah, okay. So we're talking about scaling and metrics, I suppose. Status can imply direct correlation to measurable factors. Do you think legacy does as well? So legacy necessarily probably doesn't scale very well. It's probably hard to measure legacy, and that's why it lasts.
I don't know if I agree that legacy is harder to measure.
Okay, let's explore that then.
Logan Paul and KSI have status within the content creation community. Because they've done it on such a grand scale. But their legacy will be prime more than their YouTube channels.
You think prime is a well, okay, so I keep coming back to the worthwhile legacy. Do you think prime is a worthwhile legacy?
Well, if you're stabbing at that, like, what's the point in Coke? What's the point in Gatorade? Are they have legacy? Yeah, Coca-Cola's infamous. Like, Prime is working toward, like, it's already not Gatorade off the shelves.
Does it?
In most, yeah, like, they're beating them.
Wow.
I think they've replaced Lucasade as well now. Like, they're
in the UK. Lucasade isn't really a thing in the US.
No.
It's Gatorade and Powerade you need to compete with.
Yeah, Powerade, that was the other one. Yeah, they're beating them in sales.
Wow.
The same as Feastables is outselling Cadbury's in Walmart's now.
Oh, in Walmart's. Okay. Which makes sense because Cadbury's is a UK brand and...
It's still in America.
No, Cadbury's is...
No?
Yeah, it's still in America, but out there it's Hershey's, really, isn't it? That's the...
I don't know if it's outselling Hershey's yet.
Hershey's sucks.
Yeah, it does. It's terrible.
The only thing that's nice
Most
from Hershey's
disappointed
is
I've
cookies
ever...
and creams.
Really?
Hershey's cookies and cream bar, that's actually alright. I don't mind that.
It's the most disappointed I've ever been in my life was when I went to Times Square. Is it Times Square where it is? I went to Hershey's in New York.
Hershey's World.
Yeah, could be.
I don't know. I've actually been to the Hershey's World in Pennsylvania.
Maybe. How was it?
Yeah. Like the chocolate. Subpar. At me, Hershey's. Cadbury's, if you're listening, you're welcome.
It's funny because American comedy and American chocolate is so bad.
You think American comedy is bad?
Well, I like some American, like Matt Rife. I find him funny.
Okay, yeah.
Bill Burr.
Don't know.
He's funny. Joe Rogan is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, actually, no, I disagree with that. I like Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't like his comedy sketches as much.
I didn't even know he did comedy sketches.
What?
I only know him for his podcasts.
He's a comedian first.
Is he?
Yeah. Well, as a kid, he was like martial arts, and then managed to, as he got older, got into the comedy scene, and then because he was interested in martial arts, was able to get into commentating the UFC. And then at the same, because he was meeting all the people at the comedy club as well, he like had a rise on both. And then he was commentating on the best UFC fights and also playing bigger and bigger comedy clubs. Then started the podcast, and the podcast outperformed both.
Wow. Good on him. Well done.
He's done incredibly well. This is why I love like going deep on people, because I love to see like what they. Yeah, no, it's great. Honestly, you should try it sometime.
Let me get the opportunity.
Because you learn like everything is a journey. But like Joe Rogan's legacy is insane.
Yeah.
Like #1 podcast, and will continue to be listened to for years after he passes.
Yes, he will.
UFC fights will always be referred back to, and his voice will be there.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy maybe will be the most fleeting, but people will still watch his comedy sketches. But that won't last as long.
Okay.
Because comedy, I think, is quite immediate. It's commenting on the things about the day.
Absolutely, yeah. There's some, I think British humour, there's some old school British humour which is timeless, like the Blackadders, that will likely always be timeless in British humour. You never watched it. You'll like Blackadder. I think it's your sort of humour.
Is that the thing with the train?
What?
No, that's the girl with the dragon tattoo. Never mind.
That's very different. We'll watch Blackadder one day. Red Dwarf is similar sort of vibe. But then you've got the sort of old school comedians. I can never remember their name, but they're very like timeless in British humour as well.
Yeah. I was wondering how Frisbees got bigger. And then it hit me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't remember his name. Stuart
That's
Francis or something? Yeah, Canadian. Yeah, I think it's the same guy. Yeah, he said he was a Canadian when I like to go clubbing, but if there's no seals around, I was like, wow, it's dark. I farted in an elevator. It was wrong on so many levels. Yeah, he's good.
I love a one-liner.
Yeah, I'll find his sketch. It's fucking hilarious. But so if someone is building success, quote unquote success, so newer job, better car, more money in the bank,
the American dream.
Yeah, bigger house, whatever it is. Do you think that protects them from the "was it worth it" question? So do you think so why I'm asking that is, should we be chasing building a legacy, or should we be chasing success and status? Or are these questions we shouldn't be asking? Am I looking too deeply into this? Because
I don't think it's ever one or the other.
The reason I ask is I wonder if there's people that have spent their life building status, for better or worse, whatever that might be. Maybe they've built a slight legacy on the way as well, but maybe they feel quite empty because they haven't tried to build something that they deem to be meaningful, that will leave a lasting positive impact, a positive legacy.
Yeah, if you own a mansion and 10 supercars and have a family and a dog and go on holidays all the time, and all of that's taken away from you and you live in my flat, you're going to crave the other things again, I would say. So I guess it's you build up a tolerance to your surroundings. So where if I was to go from this 2-bed flat that I'm renting to buying a multi-million-pound mansion, like the contrast there is loads. So I'd be like, whoa, this is incredible. But then after 6 months, I'd be like, yeah, this is my house.
Yeah, this is it. I think we are incredibly adaptable and malleable to our current surroundings. So all of this success just means you have to get more success to keep validating that feeling. Whereas trying to build a positive legacy, which is maybe what we were looking at earlier, which is building a consistent meaning for life, might make you feel more protected when you get to, say, end of life. And you feel like you've actually hit the nail on the head, rather than saying getting to the end of life and going, I've missed the point. You know, I've got all these numbers in my bank, but that's it. Maybe then, arguably, your legacy is you passed on money to your children. But then that would be the very much like, well, no one's going to remember you in 2 generations' time.
I think maybe one of the reasons why I find these conversations challenging is because I think I struggle with the idea that people must have one, like, overarching goal in life. I think it's okay to have, like, a main focus, but for 10 years.
No, I agree with that. So I'm curious, maybe its legacy is asking, did you live accordance with your values? Maybe that's a better way that legacy helps find meaning, is you're better aligned with your values.
But legacy is what it means to others, not you.
But if you're more aligned with what you are and who you are,
you'll just be able to build a bigger legacy.
Yeah. Because, say, someone like Martin Luther King, he knew exactly who he was, and he was so strong on it that he knew what was right and what was wrong. And he was willing to die for it. He held his values to a high regard, lived to them, which created a very powerful legacy. So I wonder if someone that lives to their own values maybe has the ability to leave more of a powerful legacy. I don't know. This is a hypothesis. This is an experiment of mine.
Yeah, I think it's the passion thing, isn't it? Like the person who, 2 people try and start a business in the same industry. One of them's passionate about the topic or genre and the other one's not. Like, the person who's more passionate will be able to work harder and more intensely.
Yeah, you got to love what you do.
And it's the same with building a legacy, I imagine. Like, 2 people can set out to build a similar legacy, but the person it's more aligned with their true values and core person, then they're going to be able to build it bigger.
It's going to feel easier, isn't it? There's going to be, when that barrier comes up for the first time, you know, and they're faced with their first challenge, it's going to be easier to overcome it because they're going to know what their values are and how to overcome it and how to work through it. Do you think people that have high status feel a pressure to continue to maintain that image of high status?
I think it depends.
The reason I ask that is if you were, say, in the public eye all the time, it must be quite hard to then change things about you. Because people think they know who they are or who you are and how you live, and they just assume you're going to always be that way.
Yeah, I think it is. I think people pigeonhole you, don't they?
Yeah.
They go like, I know Will Taylor for silly videos on shorts. So as soon as I try and do something else, it's like, nobody cares.
So does that lead to confusion of identity? If people think you are one person, but you maybe don't feel like you are, but your status is wrapped around this person, you might feel a little bit disorientated. But again, I suppose it depends where your status has come from and what it has come from, but...
Yeah, maybe it depends on how much weight you place on what other people think about you. So you can have millions and millions of followers, but if you don't place any weight on what they think about you, then you can continue to live your life. If you have millions and millions of followers and you let their behavior and their comments and their ideas about who you are actually sculpt your life, you're going to end up playing a character rather than being yourself.
So you want to be aligned with your values, your thoughts, your emotions, and be adaptable, that you know you could change as well, and almost be less worried about the external inputs.
Yeah.
So maybe status is going to help you feel like you're trying to get ahead because you're going to try and get the next win. What's going to help me elevate me to the next level, even if it's the expense of my values or how I feel my identity should align. Whereas maybe the legacy is about staying as aligned as possible.
I There's a guy that Chris Williamson interviewed, you might know his name, I can't remember, who doesn't do podcasts very often, then reached out to Chris Williamson to do it as one of Chris Williamson's dream guests to have on.
What was the topic?
Couldn't even tell you. I haven't listened to it for a while. But basically, this guy doesn't do podcasts. But the one thing they did talk about that I can remember is the fact that he doesn't do podcasts is really interesting because he says what he has to say. He goes on a podcast, he says what he has to say, then disappears for 5 years, and then comes back and talks about the same things, and maybe his opinions are different. He's like, well, if I've shared an opinion on something, I don't need to tell 10 different people the same thing. Like, that content is out there. So when I come back and my opinions have changed on the same thing, it's like, well, I've been living this way for 5 years, and now after doing that, I've come to a new realization, and it's this. And then won't do another podcast for 5-10 years. And then we'll come back and be like, I've been living this way for 5-10 years, and actually this is what I learned during this period. It's like things quite often don't need to be changed, they just need to be repeated. Like if you're teaching somebody to play the guitar, there's only really 10 instructions you can give them, but they just need to be repeated and reinforced. It's one thing Alex Hormozy says a lot as well, which is like, yeah, you just need to remind people that you exist, remind people that how to do the same thing over and over, maybe give them slightly different scenarios on the same thing, but it's fundamentally the advice is the same. So I wonder in life, actually, if there's only really like 20 pieces of advice and it's just how you apply it to different areas.
Yeah. Possibly. And maybe, like you say, we do forget it at times and we need to have one focus, implement it, see how it works, learn from it, try again, rather than feeling like we're stretched. Yeah, interesting topic, legacy, really. I'm not quite sure where I land on it. It's definitely been one that's been going around my mind. So,
do you want to build a legacy?
I'd like to, yeah.
What would that look like for you? What would you like to leave behind?
I think I'd like to build a legacy similar to what we've spoken about before on the podcast. So the podcast, let's maybe approach that. So podcast legacy I'd like to imply or put out to the world is you can have deep, thought-provoking conversations with people that are important in your life. Disagree, agree, change opinions, learn, and it's all fine. It's part of life. It's part of growth, and we encourage these sort of conversations. I would like to think that our legacy encourages growth, learning, and self-expression. I might be wrong. You might say something different. I'd be curious to know what you suggest. But my personal legacy, I'd like to think is one based around empathy and compassion. You know, and I don't know if I will have this grand, maybe the podcast, I don't know. Hopefully, might have this grand legacy that it leaves, but I'd like to think that if it did, there was still a personal legacy that I left to people important in my life. You know, Connor still made time for, Connor always listened, Connor always wanted to support. That's what I'd like to think. I think I'd likely be on the legacy of a smaller scale, if at all. But we'll see. What about you? Same question. Do you think you're building a legacy? And if so, what legacy would you want to build?
First of all, I think your idea of what your legacy should be is really good.
Thanks, mate.
That's my opinion on that. Not that you need it, but
I appreciate it.
Yeah, for the podcast, I couldn't have put it any better. Want people to learn and then continue to learn long after I'm gone from the podcast, from these conversations. Hopefully it allows people to have more confidence in approaching the topics in their personal lives with the people that they value the most. And then I want my legacy to be setting up my kids to do well. I don't have kids yet, but one day I will, as we're knocking on wood today. Yeah, and then they will be a reflection of me. So I want them to be, you know, whatever the best versions of themselves.
I like that, man. So maybe listening back to what you've said and what I've said, do you think legacy is lived daily then?
Yeah, you build it every day.
Because it's not something you get to the end of life and go, this is my legacy. Like
Well, maybe some people can.
Well, maybe they can, but they've built it daily.
Yeah.
They've turned up every day to build that legacy. You know, these successful business owners, we've said, these people that have left positive, lasting legacies, they've built them daily. They've turned up every day and they've done the hard work. It's what you do repeatedly, day after day, likely is going to have that lasting legacy. Interesting. So I suppose that's a cool framing of living daily. And I know I'm expanding on it, my own thoughts, but that's what we're here for. That's a really interesting idea of how to navigate life. Like, find out your values, try and understand your identity, and live your legacy daily. You know, what legacy do you want to build? Identify it, and then work towards it.
Yeah.
And it could be very intrinsic, like us. Could be very much for your kids. Could be for a business you want to create. But if that's where you feel like your legacy is, that's likely a good sense of meaning, which will help you have a strong sense of purpose in life. And then some underlying degree of happiness might help you feel like you can strive to achieve. So maybe legacy is a really interesting one. That can be another pillar we can put on the beneath the noise. It might not be. It might not stick, but I'm curious. Because we got what? Gratitude,
discipline, and legacy.
Maybe it's a sub-pillar somewhere.
I think legacy is maybe the result of all of those. If you practice gratitude every day, you have happiness. If you practice discipline every day, you achieve your dreams. And then we need to find one for social, but if you do both those things, then that's going to be the most authentic version that you're leaving behind for your legacy.
Yeah. Just a few questions then. For you, for people listening. If no one remembered your name, but they remembered how they felt around you, would that be enough?
Yeah. What about for you?
I think so too.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a right or wrong way to answer that. There might be people that go, you know what, that doesn't feel like enough for me, and go find what is. But what if the question isn't how to be remembered, but how to be honest while you are here? It's been a cool subject, man.
It has.
I've really enjoyed this.
I had a lot more to say and enjoyed thinking about it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
And I thought I would enjoy it. But
I know we're still rolling, but I'm going to tell you why I think this one went well while we're on, because you can learn from while we learn. Is we had the plan, but we just embraced. So what I wanted to do was roll off the back of our very passionate one that we did last time, which was very much like we just saw where it went. Sometimes I'm too busy worrying about what's the next thing I'm going to bring up from here to prompt you. So it's like, let's just see how it goes. And it ended up being quite well. It might be that this was something we had more to talk about than normal. But yeah, it went really well. I really enjoyed it. We had lots to talk about.
yeah. I think also we have a confidence now in our own ability to talk for an hour. So we're not so worried about the clock and making sure we achieve the right timestamps.
True.
We can just keep going. And it's nice to have the plan because we can always refer back to it. And you're very, very good at keeping us on track and making sure that we cover the things we need to. But yeah, that conversation felt like it flowed more organically.
Agreed.
Which I like. So we'll see if we can take that forward and make better content for everyone watching.
We'll see. What's your last word?
Kangaroos. Have I said that before?
I think so. It might have been on there before.
I'll tell you what. I'll do tabletop.
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 Tabletop. Not having any other top.